So hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in the last video we started working on this byte link URL shortener app, and we got to the point where when we submit this input field, we show this dialog here as a loading indicator. So let's try that once again and see how it works. So for instance, if I enter a valid URL, and I hit this byte link button, we get this dialog here, which is the show dialog method we are calling here, and then we are also disabling this barrier dismissible, which means the user can't close this dialog unless we close it programmatically. So this is where we'll be continuing from, and if you haven't watched the first video where we started building this from scratch, then I'll leave a link in the description for you to check it out before you continue with this. Or if you have some kind of experience working with Flutter, then you can also continue with this, right? So the next thing we want to do after showing the dialog when someone submits this input is we want to make the API call to the shortcode API. So with that, we are going to use the dio package, and then we are going to append our URL to the URL of the API. So let's see how that is done. And since we want to make an HTTP call, I would like to wrap everything in a try catch so that I will be able to handle any resulting error. So I'm first going to create a try catch block, and all our code will take place in the try block, and if we have any error, we are going to handle it in the catch block, right? And the first thing we want to do is we want to make a get request to the API, and in order to do that, we added the dio package to our pubspec.yaml. So when you go to if you haven't done that, go to your pubspec.yaml file and add the dio package. You can use the HTTP package as well, just any package that allows you to perform get request, you can use that package. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make a get request to the API. I'm going to create a variable to hold the response that this get request will return. So first going to use the await, and then we call the dio dot get, and then we pass in our URL, right? So this will be the URL of the API, and the URL of the API is this, right? So shortcode.de/v2/shorten, and then a query parameter URL equal to, so this is the URL we want to shorten. We have to append the URL we want to shorten to the end of this base URL, right? And that URL is the one we are getting from the parameter of the function. So I'm going to do string concatenation, right? And this is the complete URL of our get request, right? So this will return a response. Right now it's dynamic, right? Response of dynamic, and we want to first make a check. So when I bring the URL, that's the API, you realize that it has this OK flag on it, on the response, which will determine whether our get request was successful or not. And we want to check if this OK flag is on our response, which is the body of our response, then it means our request was successful and we have some results, right? So let's see how we can do that in the code. So we are going to use an if statement to check if the response dot data, the OK within that data is equal to true. Right, so this will check for that OK flag within the response data, and if it is true, then it means we can proceed and do whatever we want to do with our data. Right, so let's first create a variable for the data, which is going to be the response dot data, and this is the data that the API is returning. So for now, we can print this data and look at the structure. So let's try again. I'm going to open my debug console, and then let's try to enter some URL. So and let's take a look at the debug console. So when I hit a byte link, although we don't close this loading dialog, but then within the console we get some response. So we get a response which is a map, right? And then within it we have the OK flag as true, and we have the results, and the results contain some data that we will need for our app. So something like the full short link and then the original link. So let's proceed and then work with this data. So let me restart the app again, since we don't have a way to close our show dialog mode out for now. And within the data, that's the more specifically the results of the data, we first have the button link, right? So I'm going to create a variable for the button link, and that can be found in the results of this data, but then under a key called full short link. So within the results of this data, right, we are accessing the full short link. So just like a nested map, we are accessing the full short link, which is a nested map of this data. Now we can also get the original link. That was the link we sent to the API, right? So that one, we can also create a variable called original link, and then set it to the results of the data, and the key is original link. And once again, we can print this to see if they are working. So button link, and then I can also print the original link here, and let me add a string so that we know which one is which. So this is the button link. And then I can do same for the original link. So this is the original link, and then we can append our original link to the statement. So let's open our debug console and try again. I'm going to enter a URL, and then when I submit this input field, we get our loading indicator, and then within the console, the debug console, we get this, the button link, and then a particular URL, right? As you can see, VS Code is giving me a shortcut, control plus click to follow link, and we can also find the original link, which is the original link I entered, right? So these are the two links we'll be working with in our app. And the next step from here is we first want to copy the button link to the clipboard, right? And in order to do that, let's create a function that copies this button link to the clipboard. And because we'll be using this function both in the home page and then also in the history page, I want to create it outside the home page, right? So maybe outside the pages folder. Let's create a file and call it copy underscore to underscore clipboard.dat, and within this file we are going to create a function copy to clipboard, and this function is going to be an asynchronous function, right? This function also taking the URL we want to copy, and then within the body of the function we are first going to create a clipboard data, right? So that's how we copy text in Flutter, right? So we're going to create a variable for the clipboard data. That's the data I want to copy, and then we pass in the text, which is the URL, right? Now this is a clipboard data, so this is the data we can copy to the clipboard, but we can't copy just our normal string to the clipboard. So the next thing is to await the clipboard dot set data. Then we pass in our data like this. So this function will copy the URL to the clipboard. Okay, good. So now let's use it within the home page. So after we've gotten our bitten link and original link, we want to copy the bitten link to the clipboard. So I'm going to call the copy to clipboard function and then pass in the bitten link. Right. So this will copy the bitten link to the clipboard, but then we want to also show a snack bar to the user that this link has been copied to the clipboard. So in order to do that, I'm going to use the scaffold messenger. So scaffold messenger dot of context dot show snack bar, and then we are going to pass in a snack bar which has some content, and the content is going to be just a normal text, and then the text is going to be bitten link copied to clipboard. Right. Also, I want to change the background color of this snack bar, so I'm going to give it a green color. You can give it any color you want, or leave it to the default. And you can see I'm getting a lengthen error here which says do not use broad context across async gaps. So if you come across these kind of errors in your Flutter apps, what you have to do is you have to wrap whatever you are doing in an if statement, and that if statement will be if mounted, then you do whatever you want to do, right? So this will check that this widget has been mounted before we perform this operation. So after copying this the bitten link to the clipboard, we want to transfer this bitten link to the history section of our app, right? And in this case we are not using any state management tool. The best solution here will be to use a state management tool, but then we are not using any. So what we will do is we will create an array or a list in the root of our app which will contain our links, right? And then we will update that list of links in our home page, and then that same list of links will be displayed in our history page, right? So don't worry if it sounds a little bit confusing, we'll work on it right now. Also, we want to finish our catch block, so in case if there is any error, right, we want to first close our loading indicator, that's our dialog, right? So we can close that with the navigator dot of context dot pop, and this will close our dialog. Also, we want to show a message that maybe something went wrong, right? So I'm going to copy this snack bar here and then change the text to something went wrong, please try again, and probably the color will be colors.red, right? And after we have this data, also we want to close our dialog, right? We want to close our dialog, so I'm going to copy the navigator.off context and then put it in the if mounted, and this will close our dialog. So let's test it out and see what we have. I'm going to enter a URL, just any URL, and I'm going to buy the link and see what happens. So let's buy the link. And after some time we get shell pasted from your clipboard, bitten link copied to clipboard, right? So our functionality is working. Now the problem we have to solve is how we are going to transfer this bitten link and original link to our history page. So because we are not using a state management tool, this is how I want us to do it. Let's first come to our root app, and then create a list of links, right? So that will be the links that we will share between our home page and our history page. So at the top here where I have my active page index, I'm going to create a list of links, right, and set it to an empty array for now. And also we want our links to be of a particular type. Right now it's of dynamic, so let's create a simple class to encapsulate our links, right? So our links will be of that particular class. So within the lib folder, I'm going to create a simple class, and that is going to be maybe link dot that, right, and then class link, and this link is going to have two fields. So the first one is going to be the original link and also the bitten link. And let's generate the constructor for this class, right? So within our root app, we are going to have a list of links, and each of them is going to be of the type or the class link, right? And we are going to pass this link to both the home page and then the history page. So the home page will manipulate the links, this list of links, and then the history page will display them. So let's first require them in the home page and the history page as well. So within the home page, I'm first going to create a field to require this link. So before my state, I'm going to create final list link and then links, and I'm going to generate a constructor, right? And now you can see I have an error in the root app, which we'll solve right now. And also within the history page, we have to get the same link. So final list link and then links, and let's import our link. Good. So we have to now pass this links to both the home page and then the history page. So I'm going to do that, links, and then it's going to be the links, right? And also links is going to be the links, and we have to move the const from here. So now our home page and the history page have access to this links within our root app, right? And let's see how this will be useful. So within the home page, what we first want to do is, after we've gotten the bitten link and original link, we want to create an instance of our link class and then update this link list, right? So let's see how we can do that. So let's create a variable, right? A variable after we've copied everything to the clipboard. Let's create a variable, and I'm going to call it results link, and this is going to be our link class, which takes in the original link and then the button link, right? So we are passing in the original link and button link from here, and we are getting a link class, right? And now we are going to add this result link to the list of links that we have, that we are sharing between both our home and our history page. So I'm going to do that with the widget dot links. So that will give me access to these links, right? And I'm going to insert at the first place the results link. So what this will do is it will insert it at the first place, so that our new shortened URL wouldn't go to the bottom, but it will always be on top, right? Now the next thing is to display this list of links in our history page. So let's go to our history page. And then display these links. So I'm going to use, instead of returning a center, a text within the center of the page, I'm going to return a list view builder, because there is a list and I want to loop over this list and return a list style, right? So I'm going to return a list view dot builder, and within the item builder I'm just going to pass in the context and index, and I'm going to return a list style, right? The item count of this list view dot builder will be the links widget dot links dot length, and within our list style we are going to have the title and the subtitle, right? So the title of our list style is going to be the button link. So I'm going to put it in the text, and then our widget dot links, and then the index dot button link. And if you don't want it this way, you can create a variable over here to store this value. So I'm going to create a string value, final string equal to widget dot links, the index, and then button link. Sorry, I forgot it. So button link. I'm going to do the same for the original link as well. Now we can show it directly with our text. So button link. And now we can't see anything, right? So unless we shorten a URL first, but then let's keep working on our list style. Also, we want our list style to have a subtitle, which is a text of the original link, right? And let's test it out and see what we have. So within the home, I'm going to shorten a URL, and it's button link copied to clipboard. When we come to our history, we have the link there because the home page is updating this array, right? Also, within the list, I want to have a trailing, and this trailing is going to be an icon button, and then the icon is going to be icons. So icon dot remove circle outline, and we can give it a color of red. Also, I realized one thing is we want to have this separation divider within the list of our links. So instead of just using the list view dot builder, we can change it to list view dot separated. And now we need to pass in the separator builder, which is what we want to use to separate our list of tiles, right? So just below the item builder, I'm going to create a separator builder, which is just similar to the item builder, but then it's going to be used to separate our list. And I'm going to return a divider widget and give it a height of 0. And for now we can't see anything because we have just one link. If we have more than 2, or we have 2, so let me try another link. Let me see another link. And if we have 2 links, we see the divider show here, right? Also, within our home page, we don't want to add multiple instances of this link. So for instance, if someone shortens a link twice, the same link twice, we don't want to show it twice in the home the history page. So that's the reason why we added the equatable package to our perspec.yaml. So let's go to our link, and then within our this class, let's extend the equatable package. So what this will do is it will always compare, it will allow us to compare the values within this class, right? So the methods, or not methods exactly. So what this will do is it will allow us to compare the variables within this class, right? So the original link and then the button link, and we have to create one missing override, and this is an array of what we want to compare, right? So I want to compare the original link. So if the original link are the same, then it means this instance of the class, we already have this instance of the class, right? And how we are going to use it is within our home page. We won't just add every result link to our links, right? We'll make a simple check here. So we want to check if not links, that's widget.links dot contains our result link. Then we do whatever. So this will check if our links does not already contain this result link, and we are checking based on the original link, not the button link. The reason is that even for the same URLs, the API may return different links, right? So if I enter my GitHub user URL into this API, right? If I send to this API more than twice or several times, it will return different short form of it. It's not always going to return one form, right? So that's why we are always checking, or that's why we are checking based on the original link. Now let's come back to our history page, and what we want to do is when we tap on this link, for now when we tap, nothing is happening. When we tap on this link, we want to open the link in the respective app, and also when we long press, we want to copy the link to the clipboard. We've already implemented the copy to clipboard functionality, so we just call that function. And when we tap on this remove button, we want to clear, or we want to remove that particular link, right? So let's start working on that. And the first one I want us to work on is to remove the link. So I'm going to create a simple function to do that. So under my state, I'm going to create a function called remove link, and this function will take in a link, and then set state widgets dot links dot remove, and then we pass in our link, right? And don't forget to put this in a set state because we want to update the UI when we remove the link. So this is the function for removing the link, and we can pass that function to the trailing, the icon button, the trailing. So within the onPress, we want to call the remove link, and now we need a link, right? So widget dot links and then the index, so the particular link we are tapping on. And let's try this and see if it works. So I'll come to the first link and tap on this remove button, and as you can see, it has disappeared, it's gone. If I tap on this too, they are all gone, right? So our remove functionality is working. And the next thing we want to do is to open this link in another app, right? So in order to do that, let's create another function to handle that case. So I'm going to create a function called open URL, and it's going to take a string of URL, and we want to use the launch URL package, right? And in order to use the launch URL package, we can't just pass in a string of URL. We need to convert this our URL into that URI. So we first have to convert our URL. I'm going to create a variable of type URI, which is going to be URI dot pass our URL. So this is going to convert our URL into that URI, right? So this is how a that URI looks like. It's just a URL but then segmented into different sections. And now we can launch this URL using the URL launcher package. So there is a method, and this is supposed to be an asynchronous function. There is a method called launch URL, which takes in a URI, not a URL, right? It takes in that URI. Now what this will do is it will launch the URL in our our app, right? So if you have YouTube installed or whatsoever, it's not going to open an external application, and we want to change that behavior. So there is another property we can pass, which is mode, and then we are going to set it to launch mode dot external application. So this will make sure that we always open our URL in an external application. So let's test our open URL function and see if it works. So within the list style, on top of the list style, I'm going to call this open URL, and then I'm going to pass in the button link. And now let's shorten a link and see if it works. So I'm going to shorten my GitHub URL. And now we come to the history and we tap on this. This should open GitHub if everything works. So I tap on it, and it opens my GitHub account, right? So we can go back to our app. Also, the last implementation, or the last thing we want to implement, is the ability to long press and then copy this link to the clipboard, right? So let's create another function. We already created a function for copying to clipboard, so there's no need to create another function. So let's just call the on long press, and what we want to do is we want to call our copy to clipboard function and then pass in our button link. And after this, we want to show the snack bar that we've copied this link to the clipboard. So just as usual, scaffold messenger dot of context dot show snack bar, then we pass in our snack bar. And the contents of the snack bar is a text which says link copied to clipboard. And now let's test this out and see if it works. So I'm going to long press, and now I get copied to clipboard, and also this prompt from my phone, right? So there is the URL shortener app link from scratch. And if you need any help concerning building this app, or if you face any difficulties, you can leave a comment on this video, and I will try my best to help you. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please do well to subscribe and hit the like button as well. It means a lot to me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.